Well, a new poll came out today. Hi, I am Dorothy Burton, and I'm your host for the Truth Behind the News. And today is Thursday, the 15th, and a new Emerson College polling uh, results just came out today. And it's no surprise to me, and I know it's probably won't be a surprise to you, that James Talarico is up by 9 points over Jasmine Crockett. Now, when Jasmine Crockett first entered the race, and I have to be transparent, Jasmine Crockett is my congresswoman. Um, when she first entered the race, she did a poll, an internal poll, and it showed that she was up by 8 points. And I said at the time, don't get excited about that poll because it is probably just a bump. A bump. A bump. A bump is what happens when a candidate first enters. There's all this excitement and the numbers go up. You do a poll and it shows you're up, right? Well, the poll today, her poll was I think it was over 1,000 people were polled. This one is over 1,000 people polled. But the Emerson College polling Next Star Media Survey, it is one of the most recognized in the state. So it shows today that Talarico is up by 9 points. And like I said, it's no surprise. Talarico has raised since September $13 million as of the last reporting period. Now, Congresswoman Crockett has said that she has raised more money than she's ever raised. However, she's not reported those numbers. So we don't know what those numbers are. And I have sat here for the past month talking about this race, and I will be talking about this race because this race is the most important race that has been in Texas for a long time. And we have two very, very, very attractive candidates on the Democratic side with James Talarico and Jasmine Crockett. The poll also showed with Talarico, which is no surprise, that 6 in 10 white and Hispanic voters favors Talarico. Talarico is also up by 22 points among men. Among women, the numbers show that it's right at an even split between Talarico and between Jasmine Crockett. What is an interesting number that the poll showed is that Jasmine Crockett got, which is not surprising, 80% Black voters, likely voters, favored Jasmine Crockett, which I would have thought would have been higher than 80% because that leaves 20% on the table. That leaves 20% Black votes, according to this survey, if you believe the numbers. That leaves 20% on the table. And 80% Black vote, that ain't too great for her at this point. Let's see what else. On the Republican side, let me back up. With Talarico, I did, and I'm going to put the link here. I'm going to put the link in the comments because I did a show a couple of weeks ago, and I entitled it, "Who is this Talarico?" And I go into depth about who James Talarico is. And at that time, he had done a cross, what do you call it? Cross endorsement with Bobby Polito. Bobby Polito is a very popular Tejano singer. He's running for a Congress seat down in the Valley. And he and Talarico, both young, attractive, he and Talarico got together and they cross-endorsed one another, which I said at the time would solidify Talarico's, Talarico being the favorite over Jasmine Crockett with Hispanic voters. And this poll that was released today is showing that to be true, as 6 out of 10 Hispanic and white voters favored Talarico. Now, on the Republican side, with Paxton, Corning, and Wesley Hunt is turned out to be a spoiler because what the poll showed with Corning and Paxton essentially are neck and neck, with Paxton being up by 1 percentage point over Corning, which is kind of surprising. If people didn't know Texas, they'd be surprised given all the baggage that Paxton has, but Paxton is the MAGA man. And by him being up by 1% at this point, with Wesley Hunt, the numbers show is polling at 16%. That doesn't bode well for either Corning or Paxton. Because why? Because that means they're going to be in a runoff. Now, 30% of Republicans, according to this poll, are saying that they are undecided. Y'all. I'm in Texas, right? I mean, I'm a fifth generation Texan. This is what I do. For Republicans to say that 30% of Republicans, this poll said 30% of Republicans are undecided. They ain't undecided. You know how I know? Because I know Republicans. I was a Republican for 40 years, from 1978 to 2018. They will tell you publicly that they are undecided. But I'm going to tell you what Republicans do. What we know Republicans do, Republicans fall in line. You know, the old joke is, Democrats fall in love and Republicans fall in line. Those Republicans don't fall in line. Ain't going to be no 30%. It ain't even no 30% undecided right now. Because they are going to go with Paxton. Now, John Cornyn, he did all he could. He kissed the ring and licked the boots and did all he needed to do to get Trump's endorsement. But Trump saying, hey, I don't know who I'm going to vote. I don't know who I'm endorse. Yes, he does. He's going to endorse Paxton. Now, Wesley Hunt, the black MAGA candidate that's in the race, that's got the cute little white little wife, and he black MAGA. They tried to get Wesley Hunt to get out the race. This was like months ago. But he said, nah, I'm going to stay in. So now with black MAGA black MAGA Hunt, polling 16%, Wesley Hunt polling 16%, he's a spoiler for Paxton and Corning. Now, I have in the past supported Corning when he judged Corning. I'm telling y'all, this John Corning, this all of a sudden MAGA boot licking Trump, boot licking John Corning. I don't know who this man is. Well, maybe this is who he's been all along. But when he was Judge Corning and when he represented Texas for so long, that was not who he was. Or maybe that's who he was, and he just now showing who the real John Corning is. But he was such a gentleman and just a great human. I don't know what's happened to him. I guess that's what happens when you go MAGA. You go, kind of weird. But anywho, he and Paxton is up by 1% with MAGA black Wesley Hunt, throwing a monkey wrench in the race. So on the Republican side, according to this poll, Paxton is only up by 1%. And if that holds come March 3rd, it's going to be a runoff. Now, and I'm going to say this about the Republican race, and then I'm going to leave it alone because I really didn't come to talk about that. I came to talk about Talarico and I came to talk about the interesting thing. I came to talk about Talarico and Jasmine. But one last thing before I leave the Republican part. Now, John Corning, for all of the baggage that Paxton has, and he has some baggage. I mean, everybody know how hoish he is. He's just a hoe. He's a hoe. And that's why his wife is divorcing him. She ain't saying it like that because she's a good Christian woman. I'm a good Christian woman too, but I also, the man a hoe, okay? So she's divorcing him on biblical grounds, which, we know what that is. Okay. So, and when he had his little trial in Texas, all the dirt just came out. So I'm not saying nothing that's not a public record. The man's a whole. The man, can't keep it up, can't keep his pants up. But with all of that, Paxton is the MAGA's man, even though it is just showing him up by 1%, and the 30% out there saying they haven't decided yet, and MAGA Black Wesley Hunt, is polling at 16%. But the last thing I wanted to say about that was this: the Republicans vowed last year, I think it was last year, year before last, I think it was last year, when they did that bipartisan gun control bill, and John Cornyn voted for that bipartisan gun control bill. Remember that? That was under the Biden administration. The Republicans swore that they would make him pay. And Republicans have long memories, they have hard hearts, and they are vindictive. So what we're seeing in this numbers, in this number today, with Paxton being up by 1 percentage point, and Trump playing like he don't know who he gonna endorse, that's a part of their punishment for John Cornyn. So John Cornyn is on punishment right now, and so all the boot licking, ring kissing, and all that kind of stuff, and changing who he is, and being all this kind of stuff for Trump, it has profited him nothing. Trump's, and I don't know who I'm endorsing. Y'all know Trump for Paxton. So Cornyn is just, it's just sad to see a man of his age and the once Cornyn that he was to just go out like this. But hey, that's what MAGA does. MAGA doesn't leave you whole at all. And John Cornyn is finding it out, and he's about to find it out too as this race goes on. So anyway, so that's on the Republican side. Paxton is up. This poll shows that Paxton is up by 1 percentage point, and Cornyn has a ways to go. Trump hasn't said anything. Republicans are 30% undecided according to poll. So that's where that is on that side. Now the interesting thing is, getting back to Talarico and getting back to Jasmine, this poll also did a hypothetical, right? Is it a hypothetical? It did a hypothetical. What if Talarico, was up against? What if Talarico was the Democrat nominee, and he had to go up against Paxton, or he had to go up against Cornyn? And what if Jasmine was the Democrat nominee, and she had to go up against Paxton, or she had to go up against Cornyn? How would that fare? Well, now see, the Republicans, they should pay attention. And if you take this poll by if you take it to heart, right? This poll says that it would be Cornyn, not Paxton, that would beat either Talarico or Jasmine Crockett. If the nominee, according to this poll, head to head, if the nominee were Paxton, Jasmine and Talarico, or Jasmine or Talarico would tie Paxton. You hear me? According to this poll, if Paxton was today the Republican nominee, either one of them would tie Paxton. However, if John Cornyn, according to this poll, was the Republican nominee, John Cornyn would beat James Talarico by 3 percentage points, and he would beat Jasmine Crockett by 5 percentage points. Either way, the Republican would win. Cornyn would win. Paxton, not so much. But Paxton, I guarantee you, is going to be the Republican nominee. So we'll see how that holds. Now, back again to Jasmine Crockett and Talarico. Talarico comes across as this all shucks, Opie Taylor, clean cut, white Christian boy. Okay? And he's leading among whites and Hispanics, which is not surprising. But will Black voters turn out for a white, Opie Taylor white boy if Jasmine Crockett isn't the nominee? Now, some may say it don't matter no way because black people, in Texas, and now we'll say we got the highest population of any black population in the union, and we do. We just don't vote. We got the people, we got the numbers, we just don't vote. So it would not be a stretch. Now the black people gonna come out for Jasmine Crockett. I guarantee you, she's gonna get that vote. And if this survey is saying what we've been saying all along about the women right now is split between them, between Talarico and Jasmine. There's no significant difference. But we know that black women are going to turn out for Jasmine Crockett. We know that white suburban women are going to turn out for Talarico. And we also know that white rural women are going to turn out for Talarico. Let me tell you one thing. With Jasmine Crockett being at 80% black vote and that 20% is somewhere out there in Never Land, Texas is still a pretty much Christian. I mean, black people go to church in Texas for the most part. I mean, we do. I mean, especially when you get in rural Texas, in those rural counties. And I have said this all along. And if you have been watching me, you know what I've been saying. Jasmine Crockett has a lot of star power. She has a lot of Hollywood power. She has star power. She has a lot of TV. The View, CNN, MSNBC, all that. She got all that. She got all that. But I'm telling you, it's what I've been telling you all along. That ain't gonna play down there in East Texas. That's not gonna play in the Panhandle. That's not gonna play in West Texas. It's going to play in the urban centers. It's going to play in Houston and Dallas. Even she's going to have some problems in San Antonio and Houston. Why? Because that's Talarico's stomping ground. That's where he's from. He's from the Austin area. He's from Round Rock, and that's one of the urban areas in Texas. And it's also heavily Hispanic. So Congresswoman Crockett is going to have some issues. She's going to have some issues. And if she's polling right now at 80% black and that 20% black is still hanging out there, and she's not making any inroads in the rural areas where all that star power don't matter, as I said before, I'll say it again. It is one word, it's relatability. And so far, James Talarico has more relatability to the Democrat base than Jasmine Crockett, to the Democrat voters. Let me put it again, to the Democrat voters that vote. Now, the question is going to be, see, I was starting to say, we just, in Texas, especially Christians, especially black Christians, we just kind of, James Talarico, he Christian and all that and all that and all that. But if you look at where he goes, if you look at his blowout crowds, they're in red counties, mostly rural. I mean, he had something in Plano. Plano is like right outside of Dallas. For those of you who aren't in Texas, it's right outside Dallas. Huge turnout. That's red county up there in Plano. Had the same in East Texas. I think it was in Longview. That's in deep East Texas. Big, huge turnout. But those big, huge turnouts are white people. I ain't seen no big, huge. I ain't even seen him try to go. I saw him, I think in December, he went to a black church. That's it. If you look on his Facebook page, you look on his profile, I mean, his banner, he got a big old banner with a Facebook banner. Big crowd of people, and they white. They're white. So I'm just, I've spoken to Talarico when he was in the house and prayed with him and all that. But he ain't trying to go after no black vote. He Christian, no. But he ain't trying to go after no black vote that I've seen. Maybe he is, and I just haven't seen it. Maybe he thinks he don't need the black vote because black people don't vote anyway in Texas, for the most part. There's 16% unaffiliated voters that Greg Abbott is going after. Jasmine Crockett is going to have to go after because the black vote in Texas is weak. And not that we don't have the numbers. We have the numbers. We just don't vote. So it's going to make it a whole lot harder for Congresswoman Crockett, because that is principally her base of support, along with progressives, urban progressives, and black women. So This poll today, polls are polls, but what we have to watch are trends, not polls, trends. And if we see the trend trending toward Talarico, even, I'm gonna tell you, he's white and Christian, all that and all that. But there are a lot of black Christians too. And it's not a slam dunk that those black Christians are gonna vote for Jasmine Crockett. It ain't no slam dunk. I'm telling you right now. It's not. It's not. You're gonna have a whole lot of black Christians voting for James Talarico because he talked the talk. He got that, he got that all shucks, calm, Jesus like, all that kind of stuff, all that. He got that. He got that kind of appeal. And that's going to appeal to a lot of black voters. And you know where it's going to appeal to black voters at? Down there in East Texas. In East Texas. And if y'all ain't from East Texas, let me name some people. Longview, Tyler, maybe you've heard that, but down in East Texas. He's going to get a lot of black votes from down there in East Texas. Watch. And it would be to Jasmine Crockett's advantage to start making some rounds. And I know she got the big bus, the big rap bus and all that kind of stuff, But I'm just trying to tell you. I'm trying to tell you, I know Texas. I know white Texas. I know white Republican Texas. I know black Texas. I know black rural and urban Texas. Okay? And what I'm saying is, yeah, we don't look at polls because polls are a snapshot in time. But the momentum, the money, and if we watch the trending, the money, because it's money, bodies, and equal votes. And so far, that is in Talarico's favor. Now, does Talarico think he needs the black vote? I don't know. Ain't looking like it because he ain't trying to go nowhere black. He went to that black church at Christmas time, but he ain't making no black rounds. Even if you look at him on the net, on these podcasts and stuff. I think he was on Don Lemon, but he ain't trying to. That ain't his thing. Has he already conceded the black vote to Jasmine Crockett? It looks like. But if Jasmine Crockett isn't the nominee with all of the star power that she has, and every vote is going to count, will black voters, if James Talarico is the nominee, will black voters come out to support James Talarico? And that's going to be the key. And that remains to be seen. So we'll see. We will see. Neither one of them, neither Jasmine Crockett nor James Talarico, are moving much beyond their base. James Talarico ain't moving beyond whites and Hispanics, and Jasmine Crockett ain't moving beyond blacks and urban progressives. Ain't now one of them gonna win that way. Now one of them. So we'll see what happens. Stay tuned. See you later. Oh, my Tuesday night live. Every Tuesday night we're here live and we're having conversations, and we're going to be having more and more conversations about this race because this is the most important race. This is the most important race, and it has gained a lot of national attention. Steve Bannon, y'all, I saw the other day where he's going to move his show here. I think he's going to move it to Fort Worth through the primary, because Steve Bannon said, as Fort Worth goes, the country goes, as Texas goes, the rest of the country goes, something like that. So this is a very important race. And all I have to say is this: there are more registered Democrats in the state of Texas than there are Republicans. There are more registered Democrat voters in the state of Texas than Republicans. Texas is not a red state. Texas is a non-voting state. We don't vote for the most part. The highest population of people that vote in the state of Texas is white women. Last November, I think they voted 66%. The least demographic that votes in Texas is blacks. The highest percentage of black population anywhere in the United States of America is in Texas. We just don't vote. And that's what's going to be Jasmine Crockett's problem right there. Because that's a major part for base. The major part for Talarico ain't no problem. White women, Hispanics, and white Christians. We'll see what happens. See y'all on Tuesday.